The love and hip-hop world has been rocked once again, this time by a scandal so explosive it could shatter a marriage, a reputation, and a legacy all in one blow. For years, fans have watched Rasheeda Frost fight to keep her family together through Kirk Frost's endless controversies. But now, the latest bombshell has pushed her to the breaking point. According to shocking reports, a DNA test has surfaced, one that links Kirk Frost directly to rapper Renni Rucci. Yes, you heard that right. After months of whispers, speculation, and vague, messy rumors, the paperwork has allegedly confirmed what many feared. Kirk is the father of Renni's child, and Rasheeda, she's not just heartbroken, she's furious. Insiders claim Rasheeda has reached her limit, finally deciding that enough is enough. Not only is she threatening to walk away from her marriage once and for all, but she's also preparing to take Kirk to court. That's right, lawsuits are on the table. And Rasheeda is reportedly ready to fight back with everything she has. Fans are in shock. Renni Rucci is being dragged into the fire, and Kirk's reputation already bruised from years of infidelity. Rumors is crumbling faster than ever. But this isn't just a scandal about cheating. This is about betrayal, trust, and the devastating moment when the truth can no longer be hidden. So how did it all come to this? And can Rasheeda ever recover from the biggest humiliation of her life? When it comes to love and hip-hop couples, few names carry as much history, loyalty, and drama as Rasheeda and Kirk Frost. For years, fans have seen them fight through cheating, scandals, outside children, and the constant struggle of trying to balance business with marriage. But just when it seemed like Rasheeda had found a way to keep her family intact, the truth came crashing down in the most devastating way imaginable. It all started with whispers. Months before the scandal broke, rumors began swirling on social media that Kirk was spending an unusual amount of time with rapper Renni Rucci. At first, fans didn't think much of it after all. The Atlanta music scene is tight, and collaborations are common. But as pictures, cryptic posts, and shady comments started popping up, people began questioning if Kirk's interest in Renni was more than just business. Rasheeda, who had weathered storms before, tried to dismiss the chatter. She had heard it all before, and if there was one thing she'd learned over the years, it was not to feed into gossip. But this time was different. Renni Rucci wasn't just some random name in the industry. She was a rising star with a bold personality, someone who wasn't afraid to clap back at rumors and play into the drama. That alone made the whispers even louder. Then came the breaking point, the moment no one saw coming. A DNA test surfaced. According to insiders close to the situation, the paperwork didn't just confirm suspicions, it exposed the truth in black and white. Kirk Frost was the biological father of a child connected to Renni Rucci. The scandal exploded overnight. Blogs posted screenshots of alleged results. YouTubers dissected every detail. Fans went wild on Twitter. For Rasheeda, it was more than a betrayal, it was humiliation. She had stood by Kirk through thick and thin, even when the world told her to walk away. She had defended him when other women claimed to have his children. She had put her pride aside to keep her family intact. And now, after everything, to have his name tied to Renni Rucci. To have DNA tests proving he had fathered yet another child outside their marriage. It was too much to bear. The timeline of events made it even messier. Renni Rucci, known for her fiery presence, had been dropping hints online that people only picked up on in hindsight. Cryptic captions about real ones and truth always coming to light suddenly looked like confirmation of the scandal. Fans flooded her comments, demanding answers, while others accused her of purposely baiting Rasheeda with subliminal shots. Meanwhile, Kirk stayed silent. His refusal to address the rumors only fueled speculation that the DNA test was real. In the world of love and hip-hop, silence often speaks louder than words, and fans began dragging him relentlessly online. Memes of Kirk as the forever cheater went viral. Rasheeda was portrayed as the long-suffering wife, and Renni became the homewrecker in the story. Even though the full details had yet to come out. Insiders claim that Rasheeda found out about the DNA confirmation the same way the public did through the blogs. Imagine the shock, the betrayal, the rage of learning about your husband's alleged child with another woman through Instagram headlines. According to sources, Rasheeda didn't just cry, she snapped. After years of forgiving, after giving Kirk chance after chance. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. Reports claim that Rasheeda immediately began consulting lawyers. The word lawsuit was on the table, not just divorce. If the DNA test was legitimate, Rasheeda wanted to make sure she wasn't just emotionally vindicated, but legally protected. Years of business, assets, and family investments were on the line. And Rasheeda wasn't about to let Kirk's recklessness ruin everything she had worked for. Fans were divided in their reactions. Some applauded Rasheeda, saying it was about time she finally stood up for herself and walked away. Others were skeptical, wondering if this was another storyline for television. But those closest to Rasheeda insist this was real pain, not reality TV drama. They say her trust had been broken for the final time, and her only focus now was making sure she came out of this scandal with her dignity and her empire intact. And what about Renni Rucci? As the other woman alleged, her name was suddenly everywhere. The DNA test tied her directly to the Frost family's drama, and fans demanded answers. Was Renni really involved with Kirk? Was this her child? And if so, why would she allow herself to be caught up in a situation that could destroy another woman's marriage? Renni, being Renni, didn't stay quiet for long. She clapped back on Instagram, dropping vague posts about keeping it real and not hiding the truth anymore, though she never outright confirmed the rumors. Her tone suggested she wasn't about to play the role of villain without telling her side of the story. The scandal also brought up deeper questions about Kirk and Rasheeda's marriage. For years, people had criticized Rasheeda for staying with Kirk after his repeated infidelities. Many said she deserved better, while others believed she was trapped in a cycle of forgiveness. This DNA revelation forced everyone to re-examine. That narrative, was Rasheeda finally ready to choose herself over her marriage? Or was there still a chance that she would forgive him again, no matter how public and humiliating the betrayal had become? One thing was clear, this wasn't just another messy rumor. With DNA results involved, the situation had legal, financial, and personal consequences that couldn't be brushed aside. The stakes were higher than ever. And Rasheeda was ready to take action, as the blogs continued dissecting every angle. Insiders claim that Rasheeda made a bold decision. She wasn't going to suffer in silence this time. She wasn't going to protect Kirk's reputation or hide the truth. She was ready to sue, to fight, and to reclaim her power, not just as Kirk's wife, but as Rasheeda the woman, Rasheeda the entrepreneur, Rasheeda the mother who refused to let betrayal define her story. And that was just the beginning, because once the DNA results came out, the real battle had only just started. If part 1 was the explosion, part 2 is the fallout, the messy, ugly aftermath where emotions turned into action and the battle lines were drawn. Because once the DNA results came out and the whispers became hard facts, Rasheeda Frost knew she had two choices: either let history repeat itself or finally take control of her life, her marriage, and her future. And this time, Rasheeda wasn't about to play the fool. Behind the scenes, insiders say Rasheeda wasted no time reaching out to her legal team. Over the years, she had built an empire, her boutiques, her cosmetics line, her businesses, all of it tied up with Kirk as her husband and manager. A scandal this big didn't just threaten her marriage, threatened her brand, her finances, and her family stability. So Rasheeda started exploring every option, from divorce to lawsuits. Determined to protect what she had built, the word sue quickly made headlines. Reports claimed Rasheeda was considering legal action not only against Kirk, but possibly against Renni Rucci too. Why? Because Renni knowingly engaged with Kirk, knowing he was married, and then allowed the situation to spiral into public humiliation. Rasheeda believed she had grounds to take her to court for emotional distress and defamation of character. Whether or not such a case would hold up legally didn't matter. What mattered was that Rasheeda was ready to fight back with the same aggression. Kirk's betrayal had hit her with dot, and while Rasheeda sharpened her legal weapons, Kirk finally broke his silence. But instead of owning up or apologizing, sources say he went into defense mode. Kirk allegedly downplayed the DNA scandal, claiming the paperwork wasn't real, that blogs were twisting the truth, and that people were out to destroy his marriage. But here's the thing. Kirk had cried innocent before, and every time, the truth eventually proved otherwise. Fans weren't buying it this time. The tension between Rasheeda and Kirk reached new levels. Behind closed doors, arguments reportedly got heated, with Rasheeda demanding answers and Kirk offering excuses. For Rasheeda, the betrayal wasn't just about the child, it was about the years of lies, the countless times she had defended him, and the humiliation of seeing her name dragged into another scandal. This time, she wasn't just angry, she was broken. And anger and heartbreak together. That's a dangerous combination. Meanwhile, Renni Rucci found herself in the eye of the storm. Blogs plastered her name across headlines, fans flooded her. Socials and her reputation as a rising star started to take a hit. At first, Renni leaned into the drama, dropping cryptic captions that made it seem like she was unbothered. But as the backlash grew, she began clapping back harder, insisting she wasn't the villain in this story. According to her, she didn't set out to ruin anyone's marriage on. If Kirk lied to her or kept secrets, that was on him, not her. Still, Renni couldn't escape the optics. The DNA test had her name attached to it, and no amount of Instagram posts could erase that. Some fans even accused her of using the scandal for clout, pointing out how her music streams spiked as her name trended, whether intentional or not. Renni was now a central figure in one of Love and Hip Hop's messiest scandals ever. But the real question remained, what was Rasheeda going to do? Divorce, sue, stay? For years, fans had begged her to leave Kirk, but Rasheeda always found a way to forgive. This time, though, insiders say she was dead serious about taking legal steps. The humiliation of being blindsided by a DNA test, of learning about it through the blogs instead of her husband, was simply too much to overlook. The conversations, with lawyers reportedly centered around three key things: divorce proceedings. If Rasheeda chose to end the marriage, how would their assets be split? What would happen to the businesses they owned? Would Kirk walk away with a share of the empire Rasheeda had built with her sweat and tears? Custody agreements, though their children were older, custody of minors and financial responsibility would still play a role in the separation. Defamation and damages. Rasheeda wanted to know if there was a way to sue for the public humiliation she endured, not just from Kirk but also from Renni. Being tied to the scandal, legal experts pointed out that while suing over emotional distress in situations like this is difficult, Rasheeda's team believed her reputation and brand damage could be argued in court. After all, Rasheeda wasn't just a reality star. She was a businesswoman whose livelihood depended on public perception. As these conversations played out behind the scenes, the internet was going wild. Fans dissected every move Rasheeda made, every word Kirk said, and every post Renni dropped. Some fans begged Rasheeda to finally leave once and for all, while others cynically predicted she would stay, pointing out her history of forgiving Kirk no matter what. The debate became so heated that it started trending beyond the Love and Hip Hop world, with even mainstream blogs covering the scandal. Rasheeda herself remained relatively quiet in public, but her silence spoke volumes. When she finally did post, it wasn't about the scandal directly, it was about strength, resilience, and knowing when to choose yourself. Fans immediately interpreted it as a sign that she was done with Kirk, that she was ready to walk away, not just emotionally, but legally. And Kirk, he found himself backed into a corner. His attempts to downplay the situation weren't working, and the DNA test remained a looming cloud over his head. Some sources claim Kirk privately admitted to the child being his, while others say he stuck to denial. Either way, his reputation, already fragile from past scandals, was crumbling fast. The tragedy of it all is that Rasheeda and Kirk had become almost symbolic of toxic loyalty on love and hip-hop. Fans saw Rasheeda as the wife who stood by her, man through endless betrayal, and Kirk as the husband who took advantage of her forgiveness time and time again. This DNA bombshell shattered whatever image was left of them as a power couple. For Rasheeda, though, this wasn't about television or image anymore. It was about reclaiming her dignity, protecting her empire, and showing the world that she would no longer be humiliated in silence. If that meant suing Kirk, divorcing him, and dragging the truth out in court, so be it. By the end of this chapter, one thing was clear. Rasheeda wasn't the same woman fans saw years ago. Crying on camera while forgiving Kirk, this Rasheeda was done playing games. This Rasheeda was ready to fight back. And as her legal team worked behind the scenes, fans waited anxiously for the next move in what had become one of the most shocking scandals in love and hip-hop history. If Part 2 showed us the legal storm brewing behind the scenes, Part 3 is where the world reacted and where the scandal grew into something bigger than anyone could have predicted. Because once word spread that Rasheeda was considering suing and possibly divorcing Kirk Frost after the DNA test tied him to Renni Rucci, social media turned into a battlefield. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you looked, the hashtags were on fire. Hashtag Team Rasheeda, hashtag Kirk exposed, and hashtag Renni Rucci drama trended for days. Fans poured their emotions into the conversation, with many praising Rasheeda for finally standing her ground. Memes spread like wildfire, showing Rasheeda as the queen reclaiming her throne and Kirk as the forever cheater who couldn't keep his loyalty straight. The internet had turned their marriage into a public trial, and the jury of fans was ready to deliver a guilty verdict. For Rasheeda, the support was overwhelming. After years of being criticized for forgiving Kirk, people were finally rooting for her to walk away. She became a symbol of strength, the woman who had suffered in silence long enough and was finally ready to fight for herself. Posts celebrating her resilience racked up thousands of likes and shares. And every time she dropped a subtle message about empowerment, fans interpreted it as another sign that she was done with Kirk once and for all. But not everyone was Team Rasheeda. Some fans pointed out that she had stayed through countless scandals before, so why believe this time was different? Critics accused her of playing into the drama for television, suggesting that the entire DNA reveal was orchestrated for love and hip-hop ratings. Others claimed she was only threatening legal action to scare Kirk, not actually intending to go through with it. The skepticism was loud, and it raised an uncomfortable question. Was Rasheeda truly ready to leave? Or was this just another painful cycle destined to repeat? Meanwhile, Renni Rucci found herself in the hot seat like never before. As the alleged other woman and, now the mother of Kirk's confirmed child, Renni couldn't escape the storm. Her name trended daily, with fans dissecting everything from her lyrics to her interviews to her body language and old videos. Some painted her as a victim of Kirk's lies, a woman caught up with a man who didn't disclose the full truth. Others branded her a homewrecker, accusing her of knowingly getting involved with a married man and destroying Rasheeda's family in the process. Renni eventually decided to speak more openly. In a live stream that quickly went viral, she defended herself, saying she had nothing to be ashamed of. She insisted she hadn't broken up anyone's home and that if Kirk had fathered her child, that was between him and Rasheeda, her responsibility. She told critics to stop dragging her name and focus on the man who made the choices. While her boldness earned her some respect, it also fueled more backlash. Fans accused her of lacking empathy for Rasheeda and capitalizing on the scandal to boost her career. And Kirk, he was drowning. No matter what he said or didn't say wasn't enough to save his reputation. Every denial he made was met with skepticism. Every attempt at damage control was overshadowed by memes and angry comments. for a man already infamous for betraying his wife on national television. This DNA confirmation became the nail in the coffin for his public image. Even longtime Dipset and Atlanta music scene supporters admitted it was hard to defend him anymore. But what about Rasheeda's next move? That's where things got even more complicated. Sources close to the Frost family revealed that Rasheeda was torn. On one hand, she was furious, humiliated, and ready to fight back legally. On the other, walking away from Kirk wasn't easy. They had decades of history, children together, and businesses intertwined. A divorce wouldn't just be emotional, it would be financial warfare. Ending the marriage meant untangling everything they had built, from restaurants to boutiques, and figuring out how to rebuild her brand without him. And then came the emotional side. As angry as Rasheeda was, part of her still loved Kirk. That's the painful truth many fans didn't understand. For years she had chosen to forgive him, not because she was weak, but because her love ran deep. Could she really let go completely this time? Or would her loyalty, once again, keep her tied to a man who continued to break her heart? The lawsuit, though, remained a real possibility. Insiders claim her legal team encouraged her to move forward, not just to protect herself, but to send a message. By suing Kirk, Rasheeda could prove she wasn't playing games anymore. It would also help her regain control of her narrative, shifting her image from the betrayed wife to the empowered woman who fought back. Whether she would actually follow through became the biggest question hanging over the scandal as the days turned into weeks. The scandal refused to die down. Every move Rasheeda made was analyzed. Every appearance Renni made was criticized. Every silence from Kirk was mocked. The Frost family had become a public soap opera. Fans couldn't look away. But here's where the story takes a heartbreaking turn. For Rasheeda, this wasn't just entertainment. It was her life. Behind the strong captions and the empowering quotes, she was dealing with real pain, the kind that comes from realizing the man you sacrificed everything for might never change. Friends close to her said she cried endlessly, not just for herself, but for her family, her children, and the years she had invested into a marriage that seemed destined to collapse. In the end, the scandal raised bigger questions than just whether Kirk fathered Renni's child. It forced fans to confront the painful realities of loyalty, betrayal, and love. How much betrayal is too much? How do you rebuild trust when it's been shattered over and over again? And at what point does staying become more damaging than leaving? For Rasheeda, those questions became her reality. And whether she sued, divorced, or found yet another way to forgive, one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same again. The DNA test didn't just expose Kirk, it exposed the cracks in their marriage that could no longer be ignored. As for Renni, her career now carried the weight of a scandal she never expected to be tied to. Whether she used it to fuel her rise or let it haunt her reputation was up to her. And Kirk, his legacy was cemented not as a businessman or a reality star, but as the man who couldn't keep his loyalty intact, no matter how many chances he was given. The fans, the blogs, and the cameras will eventually move on. But for Rasheeda, the scars of this scandal will remain long after the headlines fade. Because this wasn't just a DNA test. It was the ultimate betrayal, the kind you can't just walk back from. And there you have it, the DNA scandal that has shaken love and hip-hop to its very core. Rasheeda, a woman who has stood strong through years of betrayal, is finally at a breaking point. Kirk Frost's name is once again tied to infidelity, only this time the proof is undeniable, and the involvement of Renni Rucci makes the drama bigger than ever. With lawsuits on the table and divorce rumors swirling, the Frost family's empire hangs in the balance. But now it's your turn. What do you think Rasheeda should do? Should she finally walk away and protect her peace, or is there still room for forgiveness after everything that's come to light? Do you believe Renni Rucci deserves the backlash she's getting, or is Kirk the only one to blame here? And most importantly, can Rasheeda's brand survive another scandal? Or has Kirk officially destroyed her trust for good? I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's get this conversation started. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because trust me, the next chapter in this saga is coming, and you won't want to miss it?